Hey, this is Bryce Johnson from Expedition Bigfoot. You're listening to the Paranomaly Zone.
Look, I know the supernatural is something that isn't supposed to happen, but it does happen.
A ghostly apparition in the dark of night.
Human sacrifice, dogs and cats living together, mass hysteria.
Hey there, ponderers of the paranormal, or shall I say, fellow zoners. You have found the Paranomaly Zone. My name is Patrick Koffenberg. This is your weekly dose of all things paranormal, strange, and mysterious, and I am joined, as always, by my co-host with the ghosts, the paranormal poster boy himself, the yawning Mike Carbno. The yawning Mike Carbno. Are you awake? Are you ready to go? Are you energized? Are you excited? Are you stoked?
I'm happy and rare and ready to go.
Wow, that was not convincing
I was
whatsoever.
I was awake until like 3:30 this morning, and I get up at 5:30, and then I kind of napped on the couch off and on, but not very much.
So, is it safe to assume that you got up at 5:30 not by choice?
I do, because Mary gets up at 5:30 to get ready for work. And so I'll sit out on the couch and watch TV and relax, and while she's getting ready, and then I see her off to work every morning.
Do you walk her to the car? Are you
just to the door?
Are you hand in hand and you give her a big wet smooch before she walks out the door?
It's like the whole hug thing, you know.
Oh, you sappy man, you.
Yeah, well.
That's all good. That's all good.
It is great. It's great.
Now, Mike, you noticed that in the intro, I threw in your suggestion, by the way, from, weeks and weeks ago.
Yeah.
Where you just randomly thought of calling our dedicated listeners zoners. And you know what? Let's see if that catches on. Let's do it.
Yeah.
I like it. I realized just yesterday that we had yet to do it. And we best start. Let us know what you guys think. Does it seem derogatory? Are you annoyed by being called a zoner? As one of our awesome listeners, Pandora, replied on the Twitter. She says, I love it. It sounds like we're all sitting around taking giant bong hits and trying to solve the mysteries of the universe.
And I replied with, I thought that's what we were doing.
Yes. And I think you also replied with your favorite GIF, the Ray Liotta laughing GIF. So,
I did.
Yeah.
Had to pull the Ray out on that one.
Yeah, you did. Ooh, that could sound very, very, very wrong if you didn't know what we were talking about. Mike pulling out his Ray.
Well, yeah.
Well,
I can't stop yawning.
I know. What the hell's up with your damn yawning? You know, we got new listeners tuning in all the time. You got to be on top of your game. You can't be sitting here yawning and going, I'm here.
Hey, I think I'm doing pretty good, actually. Besides that, got a great subject for this evening, and I have things to share from...
Yes, you do. You know, since our listeners cannot see you, I will let them know that you're actually lying on your side on a giant plushy pillow underneath a little blankie, and you're all cozy. And you're
it's like the supine Buddha.
I like that.
Yeah.
Well, to longtime listeners, I hope this doesn't throw them off a little bit, but we've decided to make the switch to midweek recording and publishing of the podcast episodes rather than Friday or Saturday nights. And we want to see how this goes. We're going to save the weekends for our rip-roaring crazy Patreon episodes and our Retro and Randoms episodes, our exclusive Patreon podcast, Retro and Randoms, talking about all things pop culture with a heavy dose focused on the retro. We're having a blast with that. Our last episode was Indiana Jones, and we had fun with that one. So if you guys would love to support the podcast, well, I should say, we would love it if you supported the podcast and went and checked out our Patreon page. You can find it on Patreon/Paranormally Zone or Patreon/Retro and Randoms. Go check it out. We'd appreciate it. You can sign up for all awesome extra goodness for as little as $1 a month.
Yeah, any one of them or all of them.
That would be awesome. Mike is literally rubbing his eyeballs.
Yeah, my eyes are watering.
Man, he's blown away by the topic tonight that he doesn't know how to maintain his bodily fluids. They're just seeping out of him.
And I haven't been the same since we've locked down the Sally house visit.
Oh my goodness, that's right. Yeah, you were having a pretty strong feelings about that just the other day.
Yeah, back and forth, kind of.
Talk to me about that a little bit, by the way.
A little apprehensive at times, and then I start picturing being there and us looking at each other and screaming very loudly a couple of times during the night.
Oh yeah, I can see us sitting there. The moment the lights go out, the first thing we hear. Yeah. And then,
I don't know if the lights are going to go off.
Well, I don't know. Yeah, the lights go out. You hear this, and followed by, yeah. It'll be good. I've been feeling pretty positive about it. Actually.
Oh yeah.
I started off as you, Mike, right away. We mentioned this on a couple prior podcasts. I felt I felt really apprehensive and like, ooh. I mean, something was not like foreboding, but I was like, what are we getting ourselves into? But now, man, I'm just looking at it as an awesome road trip that we're going to take.
Oh, it's going to be great.
It's going to be a great evening there. Even if absolutely nothing happens, it's going to be a good time. So we shall see. We got new equipment and another piece that supposedly is arriving thanks to your brother. My gosh, thanks a lot to Steve. What a kind, generous, considerable man he is for doing this for us. That's pretty awesome. So I'm looking forward to whatever surprise piece of equipment he has in store for us. I hope it's nothing like sexual and he's not like trying to pull some sick, twisted joke on us. Are you doing that, Steve?
I should say not.
Okay, good.
But today UPS dropped off the monocular night vision that has an SD card and takes pictures and video.
Absolutely, man. Well, we're going to upgrade the SD card. Obviously, we need to get some more memory on there. But that's awesome. I can't wait to check that out. We didn't really get to use the thermal that we purchased a few months ago.
In November.
Absolutely, man. Absolutely. We're looking forward to it, and that's going to be talk about Patreon exclusive content there. We are going to live stream from the Sally house exclusively for our Patreon family members.
Yes.
That's going to be freaking awesome. I'm going to enjoy doing that. So you're all invited. You're all invited.
Yeah, absolutely. They are. Everybody. And I found out, today, my daughter and I, my youngest daughter, and I were kind of messaging back and forth last night and got one from her this morning that I was telling her about the Sally house deal, and my granddaughter, her daughter, apparently is a huge fan of the Sally house. I mean, she's just really, really into the whole Sally house thing. So I'm going to probably talk to my granddaughter, or at least message her and let her know. At least I can maybe message her. It's
tough to say.
a few times during that night, and to be good contact with my granddaughter during this whole thing.
I'll definitely help keep you grounded, right?
Yeah. Wouldn't want my granddaughter to.
Now, wouldn't that just be wonderful?
Hear anything or see me screaming or nothing?
No, of course not. Wouldn't that be wonderful? Of course, like knowing our luck, or my luck, I should emphasize. The moment we lock down or ready to go, we lose all cell service, and there's no internet, and maybe the power will go out too. So we I don't know.
It turns out that at the end of the night and then the next morning, all we have are personal stories.
Yeah, right.
So we might as well make up crap.
There you go. Trust us. Trust us.
Yeah.
No, looking forward to it.
No, it'll be good. I still have the feeling that you are going to have your proverbial slap in the face that night.
Oh, man. We shall see. We shall see.
I hope so.
Well, I don't know if I want that to happen.
Well, nothing violent. I mean, if it is known for being getting scratched or burned there.
Right.
See how that goes.
Man. Well, I can say right now, I can probably be convinced in several manners that don't include being scratched or burned. So we shall see. But talk about 100% proof for us if that actually happened.
Yeah, no kidding.
Good Lord.
It'll be interesting no matter what, either way.
Well, we're definitely looking forward to it. That's coming up on November 4th. Today's episode, before we dive into Mike's latest paranormal experience, I can't wait to hear about that. Apparently, this kind of creeped Mike out a little bit.
It was last night, and then it happened again today.
Whoa, no kidding.
No kidding. So anyway, go ahead. What were you saying?
Well, I just want to let our listeners know that this episode is entitled The SASQUATCH People. It is going to be a terrific, fascinating, hopefully entertaining discussion. And when I'm talking about the Sasquatch people, you'll have to just listen through the entire episode to find out just what the hell we're talking about.
A little different take on the squatchness of the squatchers. Squatch Sasquatchian.
There you go, Mike. You got it. You got it, buddy. You got it. Well, we're just a few phrases I have written down here. Psychic Sasquatch, interdimensional, telepathic speaking, embodiments of love, preservation of nature. That's just the tip of the iceberg right there. This is going to be.
We're talking about Harry and the Hendersons then.
Yes, that's all we're doing is talking about the movie. All we're doing right now. Spoiler alert! Spoiler alert! No, it's going to be really, really fun.
Biggest Footus Americanus. That's the scientific name for it.
If you say so.
Yeah, I just made that up.
I mean, this is definitely a topic that some might go, oh my gosh, these guys are going over the edge now with their kookery,
Cookery.
But we think not. We think not. So
I shall get down the cookery and bake you a cake.
Well, thank you. I'm looking forward to trying that out. All right, Mike, lay it on us here in detail, but fairly briefly. What the hell happened now?
Well, it was all kind of brief. I was laying in bed and everything was silent. I was going through different programs on my smart TV, our smart TV, laying in bed, totally wide awake because I was flipping channels and looking for something good. And then all of a sudden, there's like 2.5 feet maybe between my side of the bed and the wall, something like that. I heard this faint, like how I've been, like when I do hear something, it's faint. It's like the whispering or the lady talking or whatever. Well, I heard next to my side of the bed, just like the other sounds that I've heard, like the phone ringing. It wasn't loud. It was faint. It was muffled, but it was still from the room. Just like I explained the phone ringing a few weeks ago. But anyway, I heard like just a quick whistle, and I thought, well, that's weird. I didn't think of it as much of anything. But then I heard like that. And then I hear like somebody calling a dog or something, or calling somebody or trying to get their attention.
Now, I have to ask, just on behalf of those who are probably wondering, was it a bird outside your window? No. Was it a human actually whistling for his dog outside of your house, out on the sidewalk?
This was like when I was up late during the night, and it was like, I don't know, 3:00, 2:30 in the morning, and absolutely nothing. Like I said, it wasn't coming from outside, but it's just a few random whistles like that, and then all of a sudden, like trying to get your attention, that tone. And I stopped doing what I was doing, and I was listening, intently listening from where I was hearing it from, which was like right next to my head, basically between the wall and the bed. And I kept hearing it kept hearing it, listening for it, heard it, those random whistles. And then I heard that it finished with that, whatever.
Wow.
Trying to get your attention.
And it like lasts about that long. It was about that like amount of time and length and stuff. Okay.
Yep. And then today, when I was out in the kitchen,
so did that creep you out then, or is it today that kind of creeped you out?
It just kind of creeped me out a little bit because it was like, I know that's something there. To me, it's paranormal, and I'm just laying there continuing to look for something to watch on TV and pass it off.
Yeah, just casual. Just
Yeah.
like, ho hum. Yeah. Just
But I
another
heard
day
this-
in the life of Mike, the paranormal
Yeah.
poster boy.
But I did hear the same thing today, only not as much and only like a couple of whistles when I was out in the kitchen during the day. And just heard a couple of whistles and sounded exactly like it was in the bedroom.
What the heck?
And then it was done.
That's really interesting. Why do you think that you've had this kind of increase in odd occurrences in your house lately? Because you went for a long time where basically nothing was going on.
Yeah.
And
Well,
I don't think we've mentioned this on the podcast before. It was, kind of jokingly, but when the last time we got together, when we went to that abandoned church and the abandoned farm, and we did that EVP session at the cemetery where that unfortunate car accident occurred and the gentleman died inside the cemetery, and you kind of casually mentions like, did I bring something back? With something kind of attach itself? I remember you saying that. Do you have any inkling or any feeling that may be in fact the case? You've had collectibles flying off your shelves now, for God's sakes.
Yeah, that's that's all recent too, and I'm waiting for that to happen again. But I don't know. It's is it just my thing from since my childhood, and it just kind of has kicking up. We're doing a lot of rearranging in the kitchen and making plans. And
can I say something real quick, by the way? Because
what?
I'm sorry to interrupt you, but the longer I let it wait, the less meaning it will have. I don't know if you saw that, but I would say probably about 40 seconds ago, I thought for sure I saw a big, I know our listeners who can't see this or this drives them nuts, but I thought I saw a ball of light right behind your left shoulder moving like towards, behind your head. Was there something, did you see anything like a reflection of any sort?
Nah, I wasn't looking.
Well, yeah, your head would have to been backwards to see it because it was behind you.
And I can't see it in my camera.
Yeah,
I didn't see it in my camera. Because I can see myself there, but
maybe I don't know what the hell it was. I thought for sure I
Missed
saw
it.
something like it was a good size like ball of light kind of. I don't know what the hell it was. Maybe it was just a weird reflection of something. Don't know.
some kind of an anomaly.
Yeah, I don't know. Wish I was recording this one. Of all the times not to be video recording
Yeah, of
this,
course.
that's just how it works.
Mm.
Okay, sorry. Continue, Mike.
Well, that's about it, though. Like I was saying, though, that we have been doing some rearranging and things, and talking about a lot of plans about what we want to do, and
Maybe
And,
maybe there's the whatever energy is in your house is kind of picking up. Maybe it's paying attention to you. Paying attention to you.
that's
now.
that's kind of a thought that I have, but
Now-
'cause I don't think anything followed me anywhere.
Yeah. No, I got you. It's just kind of coincidental. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
That's interesting, though. That's interesting. But you didn't get a negative vibe from those weird whistles.
No, it was kind of weird at first, but then I settled into it real quick.
Yeah.
It was.
I settled into it real quick.
Yeah.
That's interesting. I don't know what's going on in your house, Mike. It seems that's pretty cool that whatever's going on, there's an uptick in the activity. So.
Yeah, and it just might be our trip we're planning too. I don't know.
Boy. See, when you say that kind of creeps me out. So.
Well, I still get that strong feeling of the house is
aware
is
of
waking
our
up a little bit.
plans. I know. I don't like that.
and
Stop it.
on our way there. On the way there, it's going to know we're on the way.
Well, all I
just
can
know that.
say is, Sally House, if you're listening, please in no way make Mike any more crazy of a driver on the damn ride down there, because I'm going to be white knuckling it, holding on to the side of his door. I'm going to have like 90 seatbelts strapped around me somehow. Oh,
I'll be
boy.
very careful.
I know you will. I'm teasing. I'm teasing a little bit, just a little.
Yeah, it's going to be good though. It's going to be a fun trip.
All right, Mike. Let's dive into it.
Yes.
The Sasquatch People. Now, what I mean by that is, well, first and foremost, that is a title of a book written by one Jack Kewaunee Lapseritis. Now, the reason I am, as Mike laughs at his name,
You need an ointment for that,
I was diagnosed
especially
with,
that lapseritis
I know,
part,
I was
boy.
diagnosed
That
with
can be-
Lapseritis. Oh, boy.
Get that digging into your joints.
Yes. Well, in case he's ever a future guest, I apologize for Mike, Mr. Kewaunee, and his childish humor, because you just have to realize that's what's.
He should be a guest. I think that would be pretty interesting.
Again, his theories are kind of out there. They are. I mean, there's no getting around that for sure. But that's basically his theories about what the Sasquatch people are is what we're going to focus on tonight. We're just going to we're going to do what we do. We're going to banter back and forth and kind of throw ideas out, bounce ideas off of each other, and see where they land. And we'll just kind of go from there. Kind of wing it. This is a winging it type of episode, I guess, maybe. If Mike stays awake for the entire...
Well, I'll be totally awake.
Well, as I mentioned, one of his books is titled Psychic Sasquatch. Now, let's talk about that for a little bit, Mike. What do you think about the idea of Sasquatch being a being that has psychic ability? Do you buy into that?
I do. That's a very distinct possibility. I mean, our dogs and cats have psychic abilities. Why can't something that's more intelligent even have psychic abilities and use them as they probably have since their beginning of time?
No, that's a good point. That's a great point. That's an excellent point, actually. Mr. Lapseritis, ouch. Oh, like as Mike says, you need ointment for that. He does have over 40 years of experience when it comes to researching and studying Sasquatch, and he claims to have interacted with Sasquatch in several different ways of communication, forms of communication, including telepathically. But he claims to have had thousands of these incidents over the years. Like I said, some of this stuff is a little bit out there, but it's fascinating. I mean, who are we to say that it isn't real, isn't legit? I do have some interview segments I want to share, featuring obviously Mr. Kewaunee Lapseritis, and we have some audio of him presenting at a Sasquatch convention from 2017. I'm not sure if he still does it, but I know he and his then wife, I don't know if he's still married, they used to always host a spiritual Sasquatch retreat every year where people gathered there from over the globe to, well, you guessed it, communicate with the Sasquatch people.
I wonder where these events were taking place.
Took in place?
Where these events were held.
Well, maybe we'll have to answer that question before the episode's over. How's that sound?
Yeah.
Sounds like a plan to me. But yeah, he claims to have spoken with Sasquatch thousands of times since his first experience back in 1979, I believe he said it was, when he was spoken to telepathically by a then unknown. He didn't know where it was coming from. He just started hearing voices in his head. And now skeptics out there saying, well, yeah, he's crazy. He's got voices going on in his head now. And he says it's some spiritual Sasquatch. Ha! Phooey! Phooey on that one.
Just like that other guy that was slung over a Sasquatch's shoulder in a sleeping bag and carried off into the night.
Yep. Oh, yeah. Kidnapped by Bigfoot, and he only was able to get away by making them eat his snuff. That's right.
Yeah, that's right.
So, true story. Well, it's a true story that he said that happened. Do we know if that really happened? We don't know. Maybe it did. Maybe it did.
I think it did in one way or another.
Well, we did an episode focused solely on that back in December, I think, January. Yeah, it's titled.
Yeah, that sounds about right.
Aptly titled "Kidnapped by Bigfoot." Go check that out. I'm drawing a blank on the guy's name right now. I'm ashamed of myself for not remembering his name. He is long since passed, but let's see here. The article I am pulling up is called, yeah, you guessed it, He Talks with Sasquatch. Now, Kewaunee Lapseritis is one of the most prominent figures in the Sasquatch community.
Really?
He has a background in conservation, anthropology, dowsing. Oh, there you go. I know he's like a holistic medicine guy as well. He is a master of, not a master, that sounds bad. He has degrees in psychology. I was going to say he was a master of psychology.
Well,
degrees in psychology and holistic health. As I mentioned before, he has written 2 books, A Psychic Sasquatch and the UFO Connection, and the SASQUATCH People and their interdimensional connection. Kewaunee has also been featured multiple times on the Discovery Channel.
I wonder if him and Ron Moorhead have discussed their
I was
these theories.
just thinking that, Ron has really gone down that path of the spirituality
Exactly.
of Sasquatch, the quantum physics involved with interdimensional beings and Sasquatch. I guarantee they've spoken.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Not the Jeff Meldrum approach though.
No,
not in the least.
Oh, by the way, man, what an honor it was talking with Jeff earlier this summer.
Yeah.
One of our most popular episodes so far. I mean, go figure. I mean, the guy is just such a brilliant man, and you just have to take. He's someone that you take his word.
Oh yeah.
he's a professor, for God's sake. So
Yeah.
Kewaunee and his wife, again, I'm not sure if he and his wife are still together. He hosted, here you go, Mike, the Psychic Sasquatch Spiritual Retreat in, I forgive me if I butcher this name, Chewala, Washington. Chewala, Chewellah.
Could be.
Yeah. Brings in people from all over.
At least it's in Bigfoot country.
That very, very true. Very, very true.
Like if we were out standing out on Standing Rock and recording and trying to call in Bigfoot, I don't think we'd get much.
Probably
not much response.
Well, maybe if we left
sending out mind waves in the ether just through the air.
Maybe if we left out a big plate with goodies on it of some sort, I'm not sure what Sasquatch would like. A bunch of berries, maybe.
Yeah, corn on the cob.
Corn on the cob. There you go. Maybe
nothing with meat.
Maybe some dirt, some branches.
Some Yule Gibbons twinkers.
I love your additions to the conversation.
Eat bark.
Eat bark. Yummy. All righty. And well, I'll try and go over this as briefly as I can, but lots of fascinating stuff in here. And like I said, we do have some audio we want to share. The audio, just for the sake of our hearing, I do have to play it a little bit quieter or else my eardrums are going to get blown out. And Mike can't hear it anyways, so we're not worrying about him.
No.
All right, the source here, a newspaper, the source spoke with Kewaunee on the phone. This was, I guess I don't have the published date here. This was 2019, May 2019, not that long ago. And the lowdown on Lapseritis they discussed the lowdown on Lapseritis findings, connections with the Sasquatch and the Star People / ETs, focusing on their interdimensional ability, how it all began, and more. The first question: when was the first time you had a Sasquatch encounter? Well, Kewaunee goes on. He says first time he had experience was in 1979 in Wisconsin. Well, I'm paraphrasing here, where a Sasquatch started talking to me telepathically. He spoke in almost a broken English when I was in disbelief while it was happening and very confused. Every time I thought of something, he would answer me. Then I realized it was mental telepathy. Okay, now some of you might be saying, okay, this guy's off his rocker. I don't know what the hell's going on. He might literally be losing his mind, and he blames it on Bigfoot. I don't know.
So the Bigfoot talking in a broken English is interesting.
Moments later, when Kewaunee walked away from the woods, he's still in this daze. He went off into a field on the hillside and was pondering what had just happened when a very sophisticated voice came through and said, I'm a star person that's been watching you for many years, longer than you know or understand right now. Then,
See, I believe that.
then Kewaunee looked around and he didn't see anything and he wondered where he was. That's when he again heard another answer that said, right now, I'm above you in, as you people call it, a UFO. That's it. It's okay, I guess. That kind of throws me off a little bit, but I get it. I get it. He says he was in another dimension. Kewaunee says that he was thinking that I'll never tell anybody if this happened because they would think he was crazy. And it was one of those rare one-time situations. Well, Kewaunee says it wasn't rare and it wasn't one time. It's been ongoing now for over 43 years, which would be 46 now. And he has documented over 444 people that have had telepathic communication with the Psychic Sasquatch. Okay, Mike, you said I buy into like the star people thing there where you said,
Oh,
like,
sure.
I'm a star person who is above you right now, though you cannot see me.
Right. You know, that makes sense to me, like the indigenous history and everything, that they believe in these things. And star people, they refer to, beings from above as star people, so I don't see why this can't fit into that same thing. It's just you have to wrap your head around the idea of, a Sasquatch being part of this star people issue.
Well, it's definitely, we've talked quite a few times about the possibility of Sasquatch having that alien connection, Sasquatch possibly being an alien form itself. I mean, why not? We're not saying that it's like the classic gray alien that's, disguising itself in a costume of fur, to come down here on Earth to scare the wits out of us, wee little humans. No, we're saying, like, why couldn't there be countless species of aliens?
Well, yeah, there is. I'm sure there is. And, they've got lizard type aliens. They got insectoid type aliens. They got the Greys. They got the Pleiadians or Pleiarans, depending on how you pronounce it. The Nordics. I mean, there's so many different species. Some that we can't even imagine what they would look like, or to be able to communicate with them would probably be a very traumatic experience.
Oh God, yeah. Tell me about it.
But yeah.
Going on with this interview here, Kewaunee says that he has documented over 1,000 encounters from other people with the Sasquatch people. Some of his personal experiences occurred when Kewaunee was sick. One example, he's sick with pneumonia after his encounter with a star person / Sasquatch. He was healed overnight. And another time he claims to have had a brain tumor that they also healed him of that as well. So now he's going down the trail that the Sasquatch people / Psychic Sasquatch, whatever you want to call them, have the ability to heal. Well, there are some who believe that there are human healers, Mike.
Yeah.
This is one that really kind of, I don't know, man. This is tough for me to buy into. I don't know about humans being able to do that. I'll just flat out be honest. I don't think that they do unless they are literally like that. Unless they are Jesus, basically, or on the same level of, maybe once in a millennia. I don't think it's something that we commonly can. I don't want to upset listeners right now, because I let me rephrase that. I think that we have the potential to physically affect others through psychic abilities, perhaps, or even our physical touch. Because I personally experienced that myself in very, very minor levels. But as far as like healing a brain tumor, that goes a little too far for me. How about you, Mike? Do you buy into humans being able to do that, let alone Sasquatch?
I do. I believe in the power of the energy and any way that it's used, and by people that are talented enough to do it.
Okay. Now, and taking into consideration that these Sasquatch that we're talking about, these star people, the Sasquatch people, are perhaps maybe at an advanced level higher than us. So, why would they not be able to do that, right?
Right.
Okay.
But you think they'd be able to do something about the stink?
It smells like Sasquatch dick.
Yeah. I can heal you if you can get past the smell of my entire body.
Buddy, here's some Old Spice. Give this a shot. Why do I think Sasquatch would try Old Spice? I don't know. Brutes, maybe?
Yeah, it'd be nasty.
I don't know if they're into Axe. I don't know. I wear the Axe. How about you? What do you wear, Mike? What's your deodorant of choice? This is important stuff that our listeners are interested in.
Actually, it's an Old Spice brand, but it's fancier.
Really? Fancy Old Spice?
Yeah, it's not like your dad's Old Spice kind of thing.
Okay. Now, Kewaunee says that he can't prove this, obviously, but he says he's not trying to prove it. He quotes a William James who said that it takes only one white crow to prove that all crows aren't black. So, I mean, it's an interesting way of putting it. Kewaunee says some of the biggest misconceptions about Sasquatch people are as such. He starts it off by saying that he's not trying to butt heads with people who don't believe. He's very respectful of other people's belief systems. He says that doesn't really have anything to do with belief. It has to do with how many times he personally has experienced the psychic Sasquatch. He says he's not shy about discussing this anymore. It's important to get the information out, to stop the monster hunting, and to stop trying to kill the Sasquatch just to try and prove that they exist. This is another interesting focal point in the Sasquatch community. You know, where do you sit on the fence? I'm asking the listeners. I'm also asking Mike. I mean, I know his answer, but do we have to kill a Sasquatch in order to prove it exists?
No, that would just be the worst way to go, as far as I'm concerned. I mean, scientists will say, "Oh yeah, we need a physical body that they can dig into and tear apart, and do whatever tests they would need to do on it." But there's got to be a better way. There just can't. I don't think the sacrifice of even one Bigfoot is worth it.
Well, this might be a silly way of putting it, but it has been proven that dinosaurs exist, and I'm pretty certain that no human being has killed a dinosaur.
Sure.
So, I mean, that might be
that's a good point.
Ridiculous way of looking at it, but you don't need to murder it. I really don't think. And that, just using the term murder too, it puts it on a level closer to humans than it's a human phrase. It's something. I don't know how often people, deer hunters don't say, "I'm going to go out and murder my 13-point buck today. I'm going to go murder it." And you don't hear that.
No, they're justified. I don't know.
I guess what my point is that I hope you understand where I'm getting at, Mike. The term murder, like, I'm not going to go murder a Sasquatch because it's too close to a human being, so you are murdering essentially another human-like entity.
Right.
Whereas if you went raccoon hunting or squirrel hunting, you're not murdering squirrels. You're killing squirrels. You see what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So I don't know.
Well, look at how many people that have had their scope and their rifle up to a Bigfoot, ready to pull the trigger, from stories that we've heard.
We've heard several, yeah.
And they see the face and they cannot do it because it's too human-like.
That's exactly.
So, and that keeps them from pulling the trigger.
Kewaunee goes on to say, when asked if the Sasquatch people are trying to help save Earth by reaching out to us humans, Kewaunee says, "They've said to me," this is a quote, "we can only ask the leaders." And they already have, he says, or the leaders can't do anything or won't do anything. If they, the Sasquatch/ETs, stepped in to interfere, then our negative karma would become part of their karma. He says the star people /Sasquatch, whatever you want to call them, emphasize the importance of karma. What you do is what you're going to reap. If it's positive, then you'll reap something positive, and so on and so forth. He says ETs emphasized this back in the 1980s, and the Sasquatch later took that same emphasis on. Sasquatch and karma. That's really interesting. What are your thoughts on karma, Mike, before we move on?
Well.
Ooh, are you a little skeptical about karma?
Well, I don't know. It's what comes around or goes around comes around, I guess.
Mm-hmm.
You could say that. Is the universe coming after somebody for revenge for something else, or what is it? There's some kind of an energy there, I think.
You've got definitely like a skeptical look on your face.
Yeah.
You're kind of like wincing a little bit.
I just have a hard time putting it in the right the right spot, I guess. The right, put it in the right meaning and the right explanation of it. I don't know.
That you're something that you're comfortable with personally.
Yeah.
That makes sense to you. I gotcha. So it's hard for you to think of the universe itself being vengeful almost, huh? Would that be considered vengeful? It's like, well, this person did something terrible, so I'm going to give it back to him.
It could be.
Or is that just teaching a lesson for the betterment of everyone else?
It's hard to come up with a term that I think would go with it, but I don't think the planet or the earth is a vengeful, God dang it, vengeful.
You need to take a nap when you're done with this
entity. Yeah, boy, that's a good question.
It's a tough one for you. Yeah, I mean, it's definitely not easy to wrap your head around. That's for sure. But the idea, Kewaunee suggests that karma is a huge part of the Sasquatch people and their belief system. So again, if they are real, we'd assume that they were more advanced than us. So maybe karma totally makes sense to them more so than it is for people like you and I who are kind of struggling to grasp.
They understand it and they've seen it. Maybe, I don't know. It's
Kewaunee goes on to say that these Sasquatch people cannot do anything to help us. They can only sit on the sidelines, so to speak, and watch and try to influence us a little bit at a time. He says they can't outright change something and interfere because apparently it is a cosmic law. So that kind of goes back to maybe the rules of karma in the universe. There's kind of similar stuff right there. It's
the prime directive. Goes back to Star Trek.
Oh. Can I ask you, are you okay, by the way? You keep closing your eyes and are you trying to crack your neck or something? What's going on?
I'm just stiff.
Do you need a massage from a star person right now, or a psychic Sasquatch?
There you go.
Okay.
A stinky squatch massage.
Oh, those are strong massage hands, man. Can you imagine that?
Man.
Those big, hairy grips on your shoulders. Ooh.
Yeah, I could puncture your skull with this little finger.
Well, maybe, if they can telepathically heal people, maybe they can heal you of your sore neck or whatever.
Yeah.
Kewaunee is asked if there are several different races or species of Sasquatch people. He says yes. He says that they have told me, Kewaunee, that there are exactly 7 different races of their people in this world, on this world.
Mm-hmm.
Some are only 3.5 to 4 feet tall. Some in Indonesia that are 5 feet. Some in China that are 6 to 7 feet tall. And then there are the super giants that are 12 to 15 feet tall. Very few people have seen them, obviously, if any. Some of them, he says, are even taller than that. But he says they are interdimensional. Now, we've kind of talked about this before on several occasions. They live in the wilderness, but when they feel threatened, they go through portals, doors to another parallel world that's right here, right beside us. They've told me this many, many times. He himself claims to have found portals, and he says that he has telepathed to the beings on the other side, and he has received answers back from both male and female ETs. Getting a little bizarre and crazy for you, Mike? Or are you still hanging in there?
Oh, hey, I can handle this. This is nothing.
Mike gets a little excited when we start talking about the interdimensional stuff here and the possibility of Sasquatch being an interdimensional being.
Well, there's so many theories about alien races being interdimensional. I mean,
now again,
why not a cryptid?
So many pseudo-skeptics are just, well, they haven't made it this far, by the way. If a pseudo-skeptic was listening, they would have turned their iPhones off 43 minutes ago and smashed them. And then they would have stuck ice picks in their eardrums to try and forget they ever heard us.
Yeah.
But that being said, some will say, who support this theory and the idea of interdimensional Sasquatch, that explains why they have never captured a living Sasquatch. That explains why there are so few sightings. That explains why one claims to have seen one 1 second, then they are mysteriously gone the next.
They duck out pretty quick.
Several Sasquatch sightings, I guess I should say eyewitnesses, claim to also see orbs in and around the same area that the Sasquatch are seen. What's going on there? Is that an energy pop that's going on there, Mike? Them going in and out of portals and going out of inner dimensions? Is that like, are we seeing the residue of them switching through portals? I don't know. Mike laughed at me. Mike giggled at me when I said the residue of it.
No, I was just thinking of those could very well be swamp gas, but it's more like squatch ass gas.
Because they don't know where they're going. They're just like, oh shit, here I go one more time. Then they get a little nervous. They get a little nervous too. I don't blame them. Going on and on and on here. Lots of really cool stuff in this short little interview. I hope you don't mind me kind of perusing through this interview here, Mike.
No, absolutely not.
Yeah, Mike's still awake, so that's a sign that he's okay. Finally, the last question is, Kewaunee, have you ever had a Sasquatch encounter in Oregon? Because this newspaper is located in Oregon. He says, yes, many different times in Oregon, exclamation mark. They used to follow me home. They used to come out on my deck at night and walk around and sometimes talk to me. Where I live now in eastern Washington State, on the mountain where I live here, there are 8 Sasquatch that come and visit me periodically. So there you go with that little brief interview. I also remember hearing an old podcast chat with Mr. Kewaunee. This was probably about a decade ago, and he was talking about Sasquatch creating hybrids with us little mortal humans for the betterment of our race. Now,
hybrids between Squatch and us,
and the Sasquatch people, the spiritual entity energies that these Sasquatch allegedly are. They're kind of helping us to evolve, maybe perhaps choosing a few of us lucky ones to go bang a Squatch and see where it goes. I'm not making light of this at all, because there are a lot of people who believe this, and I'm not saying that it isn't impossible. But that's kind of crazy. You know, he just talks about casually interacting with these Sasquatch, both telepathically and vocally. And I just want to ask, you know, if we ever have Kewaunee on as a guest, which would be fantastic, I think I would love to talk. It
would be great.
I want to ask him first and foremost, why him? Why was he chosen over any number of other people who have a fascination with Sasquatch and Bigfoot? I mean, is there something, does there have to be a unique attribute that they select, that they find intriguing, or something that we need in order for them to communicate and interact with us? I don't know. What say you, Mike? Do you think there has to be something special about us, or just is it by chance?
Well, I think it can go either way. Be in the right place at the right time, or the wrong place at the wrong time.
Yeah, depending on your experience.
Yeah, like as far as even, you know, if they are extraterrestrial beings, it could be generations of one family that's been interacted with Bigfoot in one way or another.
Now, we've kind of, you know, we've talked about Bigfoot and Sasquatch a number of times, going as far back as the Alternate Rail podcast days, probably Nonsense Cast radio days as well. It's one of our favorite topics because we're both believers, but we, you know, I don't know if we both have a solid, personal, defined belief as to what we truly think that they are, you know, just that's it. This is our final answer, you know, because we kind of buy into a lot of aspects of a lot of different theories. So if I have to ask you, which I will, before we go on, and we'll wrap it up here fairly shortly, and we'll share some of that audio from Kewaunee's his presentation. If you were forced to choose, Mike, Bigfoot simply an undiscovered species, a survivor that has gone undiscovered forever? You know, an ancestor, a missing link, so to speak. Are we going as far as the spirituality, the idea that it is a mystical being, something from beyond the universe? What feels right to you?
It has to have the mystical in it. I don't believe it's just a surviving creature over time and over history, like what we had the big talk with Jeff Meldrum about. I think, to me, there just has to be more of a.
So you don't think it's like just a like a Gigantopithecus that survived,
right?
You know,
right.
You know, it survived throughout the years. It didn't go through that mass extinction.
That that might be part of it. That might be, maybe it was Gigantopithecus that was part of the beginning of the interbreeding of making the hybrids.
Man.
Maybe Sasquatch could be a byproduct from that interbreeding, and they are still continuing on the process, fine tuning, so to speak.
You know, I've always wanted to have a Gigantopithecus. Sorry, bad joke. I was just waiting for you to stop talking so I could say that. So I'm sorry. Mike looks so disappointed.
So you've wanted a giant Pithecus?
I've always wanted a gigantic Pithecus.
A gigantic Pithecus.
Yeah. It was a bad joke. It was a bad joke.
Yeah, I was going to say there's an attempt at humor here somewhere.
That's why I apologize.
I was just trying to dig it up.
That's why I apologize. Computer Mike found it funny, didn't you? Okay, thanks. I appreciate that.
If that's the only way you can get your laughs, Patrick, that's pretty poor.
Hey, I fully intend to do an entire episode one time where I'm just interacting with Computer Mike sound bites. So maybe that'll be a Patreon special sometime.
Oh man, you got to get some. You got to get some of your stuff on there.
I know.
Some gems that you've put out.
Yeah, I'm sure.
For
I have a ton of them, but my voice is too whiny, and I just don't like it. Nasally and whiny, so people don't want to hear that. They don't want to hear that, right? Right, Igor?
No.
Yeah, I agree. Yeah, all I know, the first time that Mike saw my gigantic Pithecus. I think
that's funny.
We're getting to the point where we're both like,
Yeah. The night of November 4th, you might hear that a few times.
Yeah. You know,
I'm upstairs in the bathroom, and you're sitting on the couch, just kind of like looking around, and then you hear that. Like, what happened? I stubbed my toe.
Yeah. Woo. All right.
That's funny.
Yeah. So, that's like the first. Mike uses the bathroom, and then this is my reaction when I walk into the bathroom when he's done. Yeah. Anyways.
Yeah.
So, Kewaunee does have a Facebook page that I'm going to reach out to him. I would love to talk to him.
Good idea.
And we highly encourage you guys to check out his books. He has several, but the two main ones that we're talking about, the Psychic Sasquatch and also the SASQUATCH People. Very, very fascinating, interesting theories. I mean, take it however you will, but I mean, we don't know. Mike and I never claim to know anything.
Right.
That's kind of a hallmark of this show.
If I made any claim to know anything, I'd be lying.
Yeah. Well, Mike, I'm going to go hit or miss here on this audio of Kewaunee's Bigfoot convention presentation here. Again, the audio is a little quiet. I apologize for that. But let's just go. Let's go. This is at the Psychic Sasquatch conference presentation back in 2017 in Chihuahua. So this must be during the aforementioned spiritual Sasquatch retreat that he and his wife put together.
It'd be interesting to go to that and make an episode out of it.
Oh, God. That'd be interesting as hell. All right. So put your hearing aids on if you need to, but we're going to start randomly, and I'll just skip back and forth and see if we luck out. But this is Kewaunee.
Many
anthropologists won't even leave to come out and look at tracks if you found tracks. They'll say, oh no, they're fake. Well, no, he's fake. That scientist is a fake because he's not following the protocol of a scientist, which says you go out and you investigate. And
Ooh, I like that. I lucked out on hitting it on that spot because that's
Yeah.
spot on right there.
Absolutely. I was thinking that when I was listening to him say that.
That is so anti-science by automatically dismissing it, without doing your proper follow-up and research. I 195% agree with that.
then you analyze and so on in order to find out really what it is. So these people are not doing their job while they're pointing a crooked finger at others. So how can I trust science if they're doing that? So at least that aspect of it, I don't. So they started telepathing to me 38 years ago, and of course it's changed my life. I thought it was a one-time deal. I said, well, I'll never tell anybody, that's for sure. The whole world knows now. 2 days later, they woke me up in my bedroom, and there were two Sasquatch standing there, but I could see through them. They were living apparitions, and they would talk to me. Then a few nights later, a different one came, and so on. Then those others came back, and they did this for close to 2 months, visiting me, waking me up at night. And so I could see through them, and one of them, the largest one, drifted down through the floor and his face was 3 feet from my face. So I could see him very clearly, and when I moved, his pupils of his eyes were moving back and forth. So he was, you could see every wrinkle in his face, and he frowned when I rolled over to position myself better in bed. He turned like this and he frowned, and almost like in a defensive kind of way, even though if I didn't, but if I reached out, my hand would go right through him. If he reached out to me, he'd be able to touch me physically. Because I look at it this way, we're physical dense, they're physical etheric, meaning they're multidimensional. They told me back in July of 1985 that they have access to 8 different dimensions. I got enough problems in this dimension. I don't know what they're doing, but they're very evolved beings.
Okay, so first and foremost, Mike, how the hell would you feel if you woke up in the middle of the night? I mean, you heard whistles last night.
Yeah.
How would you feel if you woke up and you had 2 massive Sasquatch standing at the end of your bed?
Yeah, that'd be pretty interesting,
And then one slowly sank into your floor, was within reaching distance, touching distance of you, and then frowned and flinched as if kind of, feeling like it was kind of maybe not necessarily threatened, but apprehensive that you were doing something that they weren't.
Well, they probably don't like the smell of us either.
Hey, that's a very good point. Very good point. We probably come across very pungent, very strong and negative, pungent manner.
And the fact that, if this is real, then if they have access to 8 other dimensions, that means that they would have to be highly advanced compared to what we are.
Right, exactly. Yeah, like he just said,
way more than what we are capable of experiencing.
Here, let's continue for a little while longer with the audio. You cool with that?
Absolutely.
So they started talking to me, and I naively shared a lot of my information initially with mainstream researchers thinking, boy, they're going to want to know this. This is a big revelation. They laughed at me. These are professional people. They just don't, some of them don't have a brain, I guess, to make fun of other people's research, laugh at them right to their face when they have themselves nothing to offer. And of course, now I had so much information that I've written the 2 books, the Psychic Sasquatch and the UFO Connection, and the SASQUATCH People and their interdimensional connection. And those titles tell exactly what that book's about. So some of these researchers, if they're pet theories, they love their pet theories so much that they become a reality, even though it's not. So that's another problem why people don't move forward. I used to really care, oh my God, they need to know this.
I'm sorry for pausing that, but I think Jeff Meldrum kind of hinted at that in our conversation with him, Mike, how a lot of his fellow colleagues, he himself has been shunned by a lot of his fellow colleagues.
Exactly, yeah.
Sadly, unfortunately, because I think he kind of hinted at that, where they become so attached to, as Kewaunee labeled them, their pet theories, that they don't go about trying to learn more about them or learn opposing theories. They just go out and try to find anything that fits into their theory.
Yep.
And toss everything else out the window.
That's totally wrong.
That's anti-science.
Absolutely.
So that's another good point by Mr. Kewaunee here. Oh, moving forward.
They know and they don't do anything. There's still some of them they claim don't want to hurt a Sasquatch, but why are they carrying rifles? I'm talking about high-powered rifles. So they lie to people. Not all of them, just a few. And people have told me they've kicked people off their property for lying and saying, no, I don't shoot, or I don't have a gun, when they had high-powered rifles in their truck. So the idea is to speak from the heart. This is a research of the heart, not of the head. I'm very heady myself, having 4 degrees and all that stuff, and being a research scientist. But when I start getting heady with them, they'll tell me, little brother, get out of your head, back into your heart, because the heart space is where everything is at. Being in touch with your feelings. That's why 75% of contactees are women. The other 25% are men. In Russia, they noted that they don't go to tough guys. That's the word they use, meaning anyone that's real macho, that's holding on to a lot of that stuff and is easily defensive and everything. They're not interested in trying to connect with them.
Mike, is that why I haven't had a ghost experience? Am I too damn macho?
You're being avoided.
Am I too damn macho and smelly and just like I'm not in touch well enough with my soft side? Is that it? I don't know about that.
Might be. Well, look at me. Look at how sensitive I am and in touch with my soft side.
That's
I got all kinds of crap going on.
That's exactly my point. And I'm teasing, by the way. I'm just teasing.
Yeah. I'm just not a macho kind of guy, and I don't care to keep it to myself.
Just for the sake of time, I'm going to just take a shot at different spots in this presentation. Hopefully we'll luck out on hitting a good spot with Mr. Kewaunee. So la 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 la, very professional here, but we got to wrap this up.
As soon as I shut the light off and got in the bed and then shut the light off, there were 4 6.5-foot kachinas at the foot of my bed. And they started telling me about my life and why I had liver cancer. And they told me how to heal myself of liver cancer. 2 days later, I collapsed, and I had quickly purchased this stuff and started taking it. And I took it for 5.5 weeks. And when I got a checkup, there was no cancer. So they've done this several times. In 2012, I had a brain tumor, and I used certain herbs to help people. And I helped this woman, and it dissolved. So I started taking that, and the Sasquatch said, it's going too slow, we'll take care of it. So the ETs came and dissolved it for me and everything. So I was very fortunate. And they never.
Now I have to comment on how utterly casual he is when he's talking about these experiences. he's just he's talking, he's looking out at the crowd, and he's just like, ho hum, this is what happened. It doesn't look like to me that he's, well, first and foremost, he's comes across as very, very highly educated and very intelligent, well spoken. It doesn't look like he's trying to pull one over on him, like he's just like an evil. There's nothing necessarily. What's the word I'm looking for here? I don't want to use evil. That's too
malicious.
I like that one. Yeah, there's no malicious intent there. Thank you, Mike. So I think that he truly believes this happened to him. I will say that.
Mm-hmm. Right.
I don't think he's consciously trying to deceive others into a lie, because I don't think he believes it is untrue. Does that make sense?
Mm-hmm. Sure it does, yeah.
So I don't know what vibe you're getting from it, but it's that's interesting for sure. Okay, well, I'll play one more. Let's keep this going, and then we'll wrap it up. Okay, Mike?
Okay.
I know you need to get going, so furthermore.
Never asked me if I had insurance. Yeah, Henry Winkler back in 1991.
I don't want to listen about the Fonz.
Something to let my friend know that you're here. You're really here, and they said they would, because there were 2 teenagers in the group of the clan that was there, and they liked doing stuff like that, So I went to bed, and I fell right to sleep. I woke up the next morning, and I walked down the steps from the loft, and my friend sat up in bed and said, "Hey," on the couch there, and said, "Gee, what a night that was, huh?" And I said, "Why, what happened?" She said, "Well, you know what happened." She says, "They were stomping all through here, down here. Her dog was growling, and she went up in the loft and was making one hell of a noise." And she says, "I know they're here." And she said, "But it must have woke you up." I said, "I didn't hear anything." What they do is they made sure I stayed asleep. They have that power to keep you asleep or put you to sleep. So they did, so I could rest, and it wasn't my thing. I didn't need to hear them, but she did, and she said, "Okay, they're here. I believe you." But they didn't show themselves. They stayed interdimensional.
Okay, that's really interesting. Let's just wrap it up there, Mike. If you guys want to go listen to that full presentation, it is about an hour and a half. Lots of fascinating stuff. You can find it on YouTube. Obviously, that's why I'm sharing it. And it's just under the Kewaunee Lapseritis Psychic Sasquatch Conference presentation.
It's easy enough to listen to. It's not hard.
No, absolutely
listening
not.
At all.
No. Again, yeah, he's a very good presenter, well spoken. Regardless of what you think, if you think this is too far fetched, I encourage you to check it all out in full. It's very, very interesting. Final thoughts, Mike, on the idea of the Sasquatch people, as this episode is titled, as the Sasquatch people being interdimensional beings who are, for lack of a better term, trying to help us evolve. What do you think about all this?
Well, I love it. I want all of it to be true. To have the Sasquatch as a people, and not just like wild animals roaming the forests. That have an agenda that's not bad for us or the planet. I think we need something like that.
A highly evolved, highly sentient, highly intelligent, spiritual being that is, if we're buying into all this, that is obviously far more advanced than we are. And maybe they do have a very profound and helpful message that they are trying in vain, it seems, to share with us. Maybe there are too many people like me who just are blocking it out just because sometimes it does seem too far-fetched, but I want to believe it too, Mike. I really do. I'm open-minded to it for certain. I still can't, I personally feel, and I can't shake it. I'm not saying I'm right. I'm not saying they're wrong. I personally think that Bigfoot is more along the lines of surviving relics, relatives of Gigantopithecus, and something that you can physically study through anthropology, something that has always been of this earth and physical, but for whatever reason has gone unproven. I tend to lean towards that, but I'm super open-minded to the idea of it being something more. You know what I mean?
You're no fun.
I just said I'm open-minded to it to being something more. I would love for it to be something.
Yeah, that's the thing is that, you know, it could very well be just that, you know, species of animal that has always been around. But, you know, so much has gone into the Bigfoot myth for so many decades and, you know, made even deeper by, you know, indigenous people that have known about this creature for centuries. There's just too much that society and cultures have put on it to think that it's just you know, like the giant panda or the mountain gorilla, you know, that something that's just existed there and just discovered someday.
Well, think about, I mean, this is something that hasn't even been proven to be real, but think about how huge of an impact it has on society and culture.
Already, yeah.
You know, and just how,
without proof
at all, you know, it's become part of our mass psychosis almost. I'm not saying psychosis like we're all nuts, but you know what I mean by that. It's something that everyone is aware of and everyone has an opinion on, you know, and it's undeniable in its impact on society for sure.
But where would we be if we didn't have some things like this to believe in? If there was no Sasquatch or ghosts or UFOs or something that we can dig into like we do, you know, I don't know what I would do. I really don't.
I would be very depressed if I was hosting a podcast and asking people if they believed in Mike Carbno. You know?
Yeah. Do you believe that peonies are a nice flower?
Well, right, exactly. You know, do you believe in night and day? Do you think we truly sleep? I mean, I don't know. It definitely makes it a lot more interesting. For
what is better, English humor or Canadian humor?
Or a mixture of both.
Yeah, it's a good mixture.
I like mixtures, man. I like mixtures. Well, Mike, I can't thank you enough for making time on this Wednesday evening. This is the first of our new plan to
I think it'll be good.
Record midweeks, and I think this one went really well. We hope you guys enjoyed it. It's an out there idea, that's for sure, but we love talking about it. We hope you guys enjoyed it. Mike, thanks, buddy. Until next time, what do our zoners need to do?
Zoners just peace out.